Hello, long time no see. I've been away on holiday and there's been so much going on. I'm not Mr. Technology, I can't keep up with it all. But one thing I've had to comment on is Yvette Cooper coming out and saying that the police have lost respect and they need to get it back. Well, I'll tell you something, Yvette Cooper. I'll tell you something, Keir Starmer, or Sir Keir. You're not going to get respect for the police back anytime soon, whilst there's clearly two-tier policing. Now, as many of you know, I'm an ex-police officer, so I know that in, shall we say, multicultural areas, there's two-tier policing. I've been instructed, personally, to handle things slightly different with certain communities. I have to be careful what I say. With certain communities who have lots of radical religious people in their midst compared to other people. So I know there is. But what was it Orwell said? The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their last, I can't remember the rest of it, it was their last command. And I think that's what people are doing. I watched those Patriot protests in London one night the week before last, and there were, well, a 73-year-old woman got arrested. There were people there just getting pulled out for no apparent reason, and some of the thuggery that I saw on display by some of those Metropolitan Police officers, and I doubt they've been brought to justice. It was sheer thuggery. Now, on the other side of that, the police have to put up with a lot nowadays. I fully respect that. And for anyone rioting, and I'm sure there were far right people at that protest, I'm sure there were far right people that were rioting, thugs, people who just wanted to loot. I'm sure that was the case, a small minority. But the overwhelming majority of those people were mums, dads, grandmothers, grandfathers, sons and daughters who have had enough of being called far right, being treated as far right, being treated like absolute slaves in their own country, whilst others get a soft glove. I think it was 110 arrests that night for a pretty non-violent Patriots protest. So far, in the Leeds riot, when the Romanis and latterly some of the Muslim community got involved, there's been 17 arrests so far. The police ran in Leeds. In London, they were riot geared up to arrest grannies, basically. And Sir Mark Rowley, who is a disgrace, an absolute disgrace to the police service. And I wouldn't personally be shocked if he walked around with a gimp mask on with Sadiq Khan on his lead. I wouldn't personally be shocked. Not that I'm alleging that happens. And I hope no one's upset by it, obviously. But he's just useless. Knife crime through the roof. And Sir Keir Starmer is more worried about tweets, Facebook posts. And that is the man absolutely summed up for you. And if you voted for him, you voted for a malicious tweet to be treated more urgently than the stabbing of a kid. If you voted for him to send £3 billion a year to the Ukraine and billions of pounds overseas and pay for that by cutting pensioners' winter fuel allowance, if you voted for him to ease the asylum applications by just giving everyone a free pass, then you've got what you wanted, big time. He's a WF stooge, the same as Sunak was, the same as Cameron was, the same as Nick Clegg was, The same as Tony Blair was. And yet you people out there still won't look at alternatives. You won't look at smaller parties. You won't look at people with some sort of moral compass. Not like these greed-fueled psychopaths at the top. Now, those 3 young girls getting stabbed, well, there was about 8 young girls that got stabbed, weren't there? And a teacher, bless them, up in Southport. There was a lot of misinformation. I blame the police for some of it. Yes, he was under 18, but by 2 weeks, and as a judge later said, under certain circumstances, the details should be released. So he wasn't a undocumented immigrant, illegal immigrant. He was born in Cardiff to legal migrants from Rwanda. And so all that misinformation, yes, that is totally out of order. The rioting achieves nothing. All that does is pander to the Yvette Coopers, the Keir Starmers, the Tony Blairs of this world, who want to bring in digital ID. What people need to do is protest en masse, absolutely en masse. Hopefully get 1 million patriots in London and do a Gandhi. Be totally quiet. And don't let the thuggish Metropolitan Police, and I'm not saying all, like the rest of this video, I'm not saying all, we're talking minorities for the most part, but the thuggish Metropolitan Police, who are clearly under orders to 2-tier police, don't give them a chance to arrest you. And if they do arrest you, make it look even more sillier than when they were pulling grandmothers off the street the Wednesday before last. And you've got this 2-tier thing right throughout the media, right throughout the police. I was watching Andrew Tate, who I'm not a lover of, I'll be honest, on the Piers Morgan show. But Piers Morgan turned round and said, we've had far-right thugs rioting and armed Muslim men. And I just thought the difference in rhetoric. I'd love to know how Piers Morgan would describe the now convicted Muslim grooming gangs and the police and inactivity on those cases for years, which is causing a lot of this unrest. Britain, for the most part, is a very poor country. People are fighting to survive. And there's more people each year, which once was the middle class, fighting to survive. Fighting to pay their credit card bills. Fighting to pay the car loan. Fighting to pay the heating bills. Pensioners sitting there under blankets. This country has gone to pot, and it's down to bad government. And why you would let undocumented fighting age men with different cultures, different beliefs, and we know they've got different cultures and different beliefs because there's 4 or 5 high profile cases where these men have raped British women and they haven't received custodial sentences because they didn't know it was wrong. Presumably in their country where they come from, rape's fine. Have feminist groups been up in arms? Not that I can see. Have the government done anything to protect people from this? Not that I can see. £8 million a day. Keeping undocumented illegal immigrants, criminals, in 3, 4 and 5-star hotels at the taxpayers' expense. Now, if those boats had been turned round by the Royal Navy, for instance, it would put the gangs out of business. People would say, we keep getting turned round. Something is being done deliberately, in my humble opinion. What it is, I suspect it's civil unrest, clash of cultures in order to introduce digital ID, digital currency, 15-minute cities, easier to control the people, easier to keep you safe. We're doing this for you. Don't say anything about it online. Don't criticise. Otherwise, you've got digital currency now. You've got no cash. We'll stop your money. We'll fine you. That's why I suspect all this is being done. And that's why other people who are waking up to this are annoyed. They're fuming. They're going out to protest. And what are they being met by? A Stasi attitude from Keir, Yvette Cooper and their stooges. People have had enough. I don't condone any sort of violence. I don't condone the idiots that riot and throw stuff at the police. The best bit of equipment you've got is your mobile phone. If you see an old woman protesting peacefully, she can be shouting, but as long as she's not inciting hatred or anything, she can be shouting, shame on you. If you see that and you see 5, 6, 7, 10 police arrest her, throw her to the ground, film it, but stay silent. If you see a guy, like we all saw week before last, arrested and beaten up by the mob, I'm talking about the police, film it, but stay quiet. Don't give them an excuse. And it's going to be hard. It's going to take more balls than fighting back against them. But it's the only way you make them look like they are, which are politicised thugs on behalf of the government. And it's the only way you make the government look like what they actually are, which is WEF, WHO, United Nations, NATO, driven psychopaths, wanting control, wanting power, wanting to take everything away from you, wanting you to own nothing, as Klaus Schwab would say, and be happy. We can fight back, but it's got to be in silence. Other things we can do in the future that I've said, if you just lay down tools, if you stop work for a few days, you can bring this country to a halt. But enough people need to be woken up. Hit them in the pockets and don't give them any opportunity to act more like Nazi Germany or North Korea, if that were possible. Let me know what you think. That's why I do these. Please subscribe to the channel and throw the video a like. So if Keir Starmer, Yvette Cooper, Mark Rowley want people's respect, try respecting them first instead of labelling everyone who disagrees with you as far right.